Thanks everyone for attending. Thanks, Ray, for helping make sure that we get the word out across the community. And with that, let me go ahead and try to give you just a quick update on what we've been up to over the past year. Physical events obviously have started again. I don't know, we're all mapping folks here, so I don't know how many people were able to attend the Esri user conference in San Diego, but it was very well attended this year. We've also attended the previous two GeoEnt events in St. Louis last year, toward the end of the year. I believe that was in October, and then in Denver a few months ago. There it says the Esri UC, so TerraGo is happy to be able to be an exhibitor at that event as a business partner with Esri. Most recently, USGIF has done a really good job, and I don't know if we have anyone from USGIF on the line listening in, but they have they put together several different working groups, and most recently they've been working with AFCEA to put together individual service days. That the U.S. Space Force and U.S. Air Force Service Day was actually last week in Herndon. There are going to be a couple of other service days that you see in that third bullet there for the Navy in October, and then for the Army in February. Those two events are actually going to be held on site at NGA, at NCE. So highly encourage folks to get in touch, or at least kind of monitor what USGIF is doing. They're great for our community, and help lend a whole lot of insight into what's going on in industry, as well as the Intel space and DoD space for that matter. And the SOVIC event in Tampa as well a couple of months ago. And we actually have not attended the Geospatial World Forum before, but we do have representation over in Europe now. So we actually walked the floor there to get our fingers on the pulse of what's going on over there. Early this year, we attended the Defense Geospatial Intelligence Summit in London. We are business, as many of you know, we're business and technology partners with BAE, and are regular attendees at the GXP 360 event in San Diego. And if you're unaware, you can actually push out GeoPDF products out of the GXP environment, both in 2D and 3D GeoPDF. So we have a litany, of course, the DoD, the intelligence community, our federal government users have all kinds of LiDAR data, and they're trying to solve the problem of being able to get that content out and down to that non-geospatial person that Ray alluded to earlier. We're also heavily involved, obviously, with the U.S. Army, so we attend regularly the Geospatial Engineering Working Group and the Geo Week event out at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I mentioned the USGIF specifically. We continue our membership there and attendance with those working groups and those sponsored events. There is a follow-up to the San Diego event that we attended a couple of weeks ago. There will be a webcast upcoming on the 10th of August. If you would like further information about that, you probably got an email, but if not, please feel free to get in touch with me directly. We do webcast webinars on a regular basis, at least on a quarterly basis. So talking about our latest releases, which I'll get to in the next slide, I believe. But virtual events for training and education, they're always available online, on demand, or on site if you have a group of folks. I did want to bring up about the physical events that have started again. For next year, Ray, hopefully we'll be able to have this in person. When I attended the service day for the Space Force and the Air Force, the USGIF has a fantastic facility out in Herndon that can accommodate a couple hundred people. So I'd like to propose that we sponsor that space for the event next year, and we can talk more about that offline. Just a quick product update. So there have been a lot of releases over the past year. I didn't outline every single one, but everybody seems to be trying to make this transition to ArcGIS Pro. So we have actually done multiple releases over the past year, 4 to be specific, since the last working group. We're currently compatible with ArcGIS Pro version 2.6 to 2.9. If you need an older installer, obviously we can help you with that. But our current version is 2.5.3. We are working towards compatibility with version 3.0 of ArcGIS Pro, but it's quite a heavy lift right now, and the engineering team's working on that. There's a change to the .NET framework, from what I understand from the guys and ladies that are working on that. Currently, on the desktop side and ArcGIS server side, we are at version 7.8.2, which is compatible with 10.8.2, as you see there on the slide. Esri isn't doing a whole lot of enhancements at all to that product on the desktop side. So we have slowed down on our releases, but we're still working a couple of issues with our customers. And I would expect or anticipate that support to continue. I believe Esri's supporting until 2027. So we'll continue to support as long as Esri supports, and continuing doing some small bug fixes and random enhancements. The big news that we have for this event, outside of those major releases for ArcGIS Pro, is that we have moved to 64-bit compatibility now in Adobe Acrobat. So that means the Composer product for Adobe Acrobat and the GeoPDF toolbar for Adobe Reader is now compatible with 64-bit systems. In our latest release, which happened, I believe, last week, we were able to implement the support to create 3D GeoPDFs in 64-bit. So that is available now. If you are a current user, just let me know, and we can make sure we can get those new versions across to you for a 64-bit system if needed. Next thing is the SDK. We have our business partners use this quite heavily. We do have quite a few Army users as well. But I think during the last working group, we talked about metadata handling. And so users are wanting to embed metadata so that data is discoverable by another enterprise system. So we've enabled support for those large XMP files. There is another fix that we came across for odd-sized files, raster products as well. So we have increased the requirement for geo-registration if it's just a scanned map or just a dumb image to 4 geo-registration points now for those odd file sizes. Everything's not square, right? Or everything's not. It's many of those images that we're working with from data providers that tend to be longer, more of a rectangular shape. And so it's just an odd file size. And so we've increased those registration points to make sure that we can get a tighter geo-registration there. As you see, there's a steady rhythm for all the products. There is a pending release for our publisher for raster. We're looking at versioning right now. And if we don't know if that's going to be a version 8 or we're going to maintain the version 7. But that is going to have the ability to push multiple images, IMGs, NITFs, SIDs, whatever you're working with, be able to publish or produce multiple GeoPDFs from multiple different files. So more of a batch processing capability, but implemented in the GUI. So a user doesn't have to go command line. Here are the latest versions just for a quick reference. And we also maintain a sheet, obviously, for compatibility on where that works, where all of these products work within the Esri ecosystem or the Acrobat Adobe ecosystem. So if you need that information, we're happy to provide that as well. Next, I just wanted to talk briefly about the other side of our business. We have our GeoPDF side of our business, but then we also have a smart cities and utilities side of our business. And unlike Avenza and other applications that handle GeoPDFs, this is a very, very vertical market that we're approaching for field operations. So it's not necessarily, it's not for the recreational use. It's actually for the asset management market. In that asset management market, we're directly related to IoT type sensors. I think I've mentioned this before, but I always just want to let everyone know that from a mobile asset management and professional workflow standpoint, our smart cities and utilities business has been very successful in leveraging our applications and our middleware, if you will, to 8 of the 10 largest U.S. utilities. The ROI on that has been significant for those utilities. And if you want further information about that, I'll be happy to get you an ebook or a couple of use cases as well. Over 3 million smart streetlights for IoT devices under management right now. And we've been successful to the point where other organizations are actually looking to manage other assets in infrastructure assets for cameras, air quality sensors, EV chargers, etc. The application does integrate seamlessly with GIS because all of those assets obviously have a location. Customer relationship management, work order software, other back office type platforms as well. Let's see here. So there are, just to let you know, please follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube. We are hiring right now, so if you know of anybody with any of these roles or skill sets, please feel free to reach out to us. You can also find all of this information on our website as well. I did want to give you just a quick demonstration of some of the capabilities here. Here's my contact information again, that you may or may not be familiar with, and just more specifically on how to display some other content here. This is a quick sample using a map series export out of ArcGIS, out of ArcGIS Pro or the desktop environment. You'll notice that I have several different PDFs here. I'm going to turn off this imagery because it's easier to see what's actually happening here. These are all of the 911 calls over a certain period in Hillsborough County in Tampa. But using the map series export and exporting multiple PDFs in the same area, you can actually visualize content through the GeoPDF itself. So I just hit that bookmark and you'll notice that you'll start to see all of those timestamps or all of those incidents from a 911 call perspective in Hillsborough County. And this is all inside of one PDF as well. So you can, from a temporal standpoint, you can actually see what's happening over a specific area over a certain amount of time. It's a pretty interesting way to visualize content. And I did want to mention also the use of the GeoPackage. I know Avenza is doing some work on this front as well, but our GeoPackage, I'm actually going to save this. Let's see if I save this locally. And all of the data that is actually here in this PDF is actually embedded inside of this GeoPackage. So I'm going to go to this GeoPackage here. Oh, sorry. Here's my SQLite browser. And so you don't only have just a physical representation of all of that data, you also have all of the content inside of that PDF. So all of the fire calls, all of the attributes associated to each one of those calls. And this was from the 911 calls directly to the transfer to the fire department. So you actually have all that content inside of the PDF and it's attached. So that's something pretty interesting. Also wanted to show you a sample of the 3D product that can be produced. This is out of just using our 3D composer. It's LiDAR content and high resolution imagery. It'll take a bit of a second, but it's a pretty dense point cloud. But instead, in the standard GeoPDF, you always have your X and Y displayed down here in the bottom right. Now you actually have an X, Y, and Z value. So this is an easy way to be able to share your elevation content with your users, DIMs, point clouds, etc. Just an easier way to visualize and actually start disseminating that data to get it out of the office and in the user's hands. Right.
Hey, Scott, what's the size of that file?
Yep. Let's see here. 21 megabytes is a file size. And ironically, having John here, we actually worked with SAIC on this project a few years ago. And it was that effort that was kind of managed out of AGC, right? But it involved some other DoD organizations and intelligence community organizations. So, but if you would like further information on this, obviously we can get on the phone individually or in another group if there's a requirement to start distributing your elevation content. We can help you with some online training for that 3D composer product. So that's just a quick overview. Again, here is my contact information. If anyone doesn't have it right now, let me jump into the chat session real quick and see what kind of questions we have. But does the current version support ARC Pro 292? Yes, it does, I believe here on this product side. 2.9. Darcia, I'll get back to you on that 2.9.2 question just to make sure. Let's see. I hope everyone was able to see my screen. Right? Be able to see the slides?
Yeah, I'm good here. I can see the slides. I saw that someone was having an issue there and wasn't sure what that was. Mm-hmm. Certainly the slides I can see.
And we'll go ahead and share those, share the slides with everyone. Like I said at the very beginning, we'll share the slides with everyone for all presentations. And if anyone has any other questions, just please let us know. We'll be happy to respond. And the recording will be available hopefully by the end of the week for everyone to be able to view or share with your colleagues.
And Scott, along with the recording, you're also going to gather up whatever slides might be available for public dissemination to have them out there also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, very good, very good.